Was Jesus a vegetarian? It's not a question that too many people ask. It's a controversial question. There's honestly actually a lot of evidence out there suggesting that Jesus indeed was a vegetarian. So I'm not going to get into all the evidence in this video. I just want to do a brief overview of the topic. I personally grew up in a Christian home. Ate a lot of meat, never thought twice about it. Not until many years later when I started looking into the teachings of Jesus and the history around the early Christians outside of the framework of the religion of Christianity did I start to ask that question myself. Eventually, I came to the conclusion, I was convinced, that Jesus was a vegetarian that taught a vegetarian diet to his disciples. So why is this important? Why does it even matter? Well, you could think of it this way. In Christianity and really in most traditions of Jesus, he taught the ways of God. You could look at it that way. He showed mankind the highest ideal. Really, in most all spiritual traditions that include Jesus, that's what he stood for, the highest ideal that man can reach. And he was the teacher, obviously a spiritual teacher, and taught he was supposed to embody the Father, the Creator. So if Jesus was not a vegetarian, then that would pretty much suggest that God wants us to eat animals. And wasn't Jesus' message one of love and compassion? So here's the thing that a lot of people who don't like hearing about this, they don't even want to hear the question asked, was Jesus a vegetarian, let alone admit that it might be a possibility. They don't like to hear this because, really, you can't separate eating meat and killing animals. It's impossible to be a carnivore and not be a killer. It might sound a little harsh to put it that way. I mean, people don't go out there and slaughter the animals themselves, but someone has to do it. If you're eating dead lamb or chicken or beef or fish or whatever it is, somebody's got to kill that animal. So that's really what it comes down to. I think a lot of people who hate to hear that Jesus may have possibly been a vegetarian, they don't like to hear that for that reason, because they don't want to have to come to grips with the fact that their diet condemns innocent beings to suffer and die for them. It's sacrifice. That's what it is. You're sacrificing an animal that hasn't done anything wrong to satisfy your own grumblings of your stomach or your cravings for flesh or whatever it is. You might not even crave it. You might just have been brought up that way and don't even think twice about it, but it doesn't matter whether you think about it or not. It's like people that are born into a culture of war and go volunteer to be a soldier, and they don't think that there's another way because that's all they've ever known. Doesn't really matter. They're still going out and killing people. So anyway, that's the basic gist of, I think, why a lot of people are starting to question, how could this man who taught universal love and compassion and who is supposed to embody the perfect loving God, how could someone so perfect and innocent and loving and compassionate condemn an innocent animal to death just to feed himself? So there's another way to look at it. Imagine that you were in a room, just you in the room with the lamb and Jesus and the devil. This is just an analogy. I'm not saying there's an actual devil out there, but, think of the devil as whatever you want to think is the devil. Think of him red-horned monster or just the most evil man that you can conjure up in your mind, doesn't matter. But you're in a room with Jesus, the devil, an innocent lamb, and a butcher knife. Do you really think that Jesus would be the one telling you to kill the lamb and eat it? And that the devil would actually be the one saying, no, you don't have to do that. Here's some foods like quinoa that's actually a complete protein. You can actually be healthy without having to kill that animal. Why don't you do that? Does that make any sense at all? Why would the evil one want you to not cause undue suffering to another being and show you a way of life that doesn't involve killing? And why would the beacon of light, the righteous one, the loving one, tell you that you have to do this, or you should do this, or it's good to do this? Because that's what it all originated. The eating animals, it all originated with sacrifice. Killing animals to please God. It was just a ruse to fulfill man's desire to eat meat. So, and that's really what a diet of meat is. It's a different form of sacrifice. It's not a religious ritual like it used to be, but it's still sacrifice. And look at the way animals are raised today. I mean, it's horrendous, the conditions they're raised in. So there's a big movement towards raising animals in a humane condition. So that's all good and everything, but is there any way to kill an animal humanely? Would you want to be killed? Of course, if you were killed, you'd probably want it to go quick rather than be tortured, but still, would you consider someone that wants to kill you just cannibal, wants to kill you so he can eat you? Would you consider him doing it humanely if he didn't torture you ahead of time? He just got you and got it over with quick. And you probably wouldn't be too happy about it. You know, animals are the same way. They feel, they want to keep living, they enjoy things, and they feel pain. So what makes us think that we can cause them undue pain unnecessarily? I'm not talking about life and death situations. I'm not talking about tribes, impoverished tribes in Africa like the Maasai that have no other way. I'm talking about in the West, where we eat meat three times a day, most of us, a lot of us, daily, if nothing else. Not everyone, but it's common. I mean, fast food, restaurants, steakhouses, it's everywhere. It's the culture. The culture is to eat a lot of meat. And so there's a lot of animals. It's not just a few animals getting killed here and there. It's a culture of bloodshed. So there's a lot more actual historical evidence. There's a lot of evidence in the Bible, but I just want to open this topic, a little introductory video on the topic, with just a few questions about the basic, moral, ethical premises of eating meat versus eating a vegetarian diet. So, as far as the Bible goes, there's a lot of actual evidence in the Bible. Oh, I know a lot of the Bible thumpers are the ones saying, no, Jesus ate meat. He wants you to eat meat. Not just it's okay, but he actually wants you to. And it's okay. You can believe whatever you want. I'm not going to judge. I just want to get the facts and the evidence out there. So I've written actually in-depth posts. It took me 4 long posts to get through all the evidence. So I'm not going to get into that in this video. I will be back with more videos getting into the details of all the evidence, historical evidence and whatnot. But I just wanted to make a quick video, introductory video on why people question if Jesus was a vegetarian, and why more and more people these days are starting to actually believe that he was. So it's not just because of this or just because of that. There's a lot of reasons. I think deep down it's our conscience. It's within our own conscience. And it's hard to think that we could be more compassionate than God. But if you think that God demands the killing of meat, or he used to, for sacrifice, as the Bible teaches, in certain parts anyway, then you have to think that we are capable of being more compassionate than God, which is weird because the same Bible says his ways are higher than our ways. So seems like that makes his ways lower than our ways, and maybe that's why a lot of Christians don't want to be vegetarians for ethical reasons, because then they feel like they're putting themselves higher than God and higher than Jesus, higher than their ideal, higher than the one they worship, higher than the one they follow. So I think that's the very same reason that actually brings a lot of people towards questioning and eventually being convinced that Jesus was a vegetarian, is because they're like, if I feel this is wrong and I can be more compassionate, how is it possible that the one who is, we're told, the most compassionate man, one of the most compassionate men to ever walk the earth, he actually ate animals and taught his disciples that it's okay to kill animals? It's a good thing not to avoid it if they could avoid it. You know, it's interesting. So anyway, just some food for thought. Give it a thumbs up if you like the content. Like I said, I'll be back with longer, more in-depth videos, but I just want to do a quick video. Introduction to the topic, I guess. So, hope everyone's doing good out there. Have a good one, guys. Peace.